And joining us on the phone right now, our very special guest, Mr. Jason Baker. You may know him as Alchemist. You've probably seen some of his work without even knowing it. He worked with MLG once upon a time and has even dabbled in ESL. If you ever watched The Road to BlizzCon, the recent one, you probably saw some of his production directing work. Stop me if I'm wrong at any of that. Jason, how are you doing today, sir?
So far, so good, and I am doing great.
Excellent. So, obviously, kind of let the listeners at least a little background know, because you are kind of through the production hoops of eSports, correct?
Yeah, I'm kind of one of those weird hybrids. I was league side of eSports and production side of eSports at the same time. It's kind of, but I never wanted to be famous, so I never really bragged about things.
Well, I think I took a look at or you shared some videos with me from your YouTube, and I think there was only one that you actually showed that had you actually interviewing anybody. Everything else was your behind the scenes kind of work.
Yeah, I always said the questions to the interviewers, and then they said it to the person, and we edited me out.
Okay, so all of those fantastic interviews through CPL and MLG back in the day, that was Jason Baker's work. Right there. Gotcha. So when did you guys actually start GotFrag?
I did not start GotFrag. Actually, I started a company called MFA Video Productions, and then I joined GotFrag, but as a partner. GotFrag started in 2002, I believe.
Now, help me out here then, because I know if you Google GotFrag, there's still some things out there on the interwebs. I see that there's a Facebook and everything that posted, I think, recently as November. Maybe not November, but either way, is there still some GotFrag out there? I know there's, you kind of see blimps of it.
What happened is MLG had shut GotFrag down. MLG did a big shift on some of their corporate leadership, and they decided to cut down some stuff. They asked Sir Scoots and myself to move to New York, and we said no, and they ended up just closing it all down. So what you see is just people's articles and pictures that they've saved, but the actual server and database and everything is gone as far as we know.
I actually took a look on the Wayback Machine, which is a website that you can go look at how websites look way back, and it's actually pretty funny to look at GotFrag compared to like HLTV.org now. It's very close.
Yeah, HLTV kind of started getting big around 2006, 2007, and they were kind of a European answer to us. SK Gaming was another big news site as well, but they pretty much always copied the news off of GotFrag. So
where then were you with CPL? Because I see that, for those who don't know, if you follow Jason on Twitter, what's your Twitter handle? Alchemist5?
Alchemister5, I think, is as close as I could get.
There you go. So if you follow him on Twitter, he is always watching any esports from what I've noticed this weekend. And he also uploads a lot of retro videos for CPL and anything like that. So if you're a fan of watching that kind of stuff, you upload that on YouTube all the time, right?
Yes. My YouTube account is Alch5, I believe is what it is. Yeah. Anytime I run across, there is probably about 300 videos that are gone that I do not have anymore. But every once in a while, somebody will send me some. And if I actually look on YouTube, I can find some of my videos on there. I think there's one with 8 million views. I'm like, oh man, I wish I had that.
And those were all done by your production company, the MFA VP, right?
Yes. I had joined a Counter-Strike team. It was called MFA. And we went to CPL and we started filming stuff. We would play and we'd just get destroyed because, yeah, it was Counter-Strike 1.3, 1.5. Those some really, really good players. So we'd get destroyed. And we all had full-time jobs. It's just something we did for fun, is we would go down to the CPL and we'd film. And one of the founders of MFA actually started working for Cal and the CPL. So he was working for that on that side, and then we were doing the video stuff. And then in the off season, I was actually doing Cal admin stuff. I was the head of anti-cheat for Cal.
So now looking back at those videos, and obviously we all had our hopes and dreams when esports was young and everything there, but looking back at those, that really stands out to me is nowadays all the pros and everything, they have their mouse bungees, they have their fancy mechanical keyboards and fancy Razer mice and everything. Like, they're very gear specific, and back then it almost looked like everyone could use out of the box Dell mice and keyboards.
Oh no, those are Dell mice. Come on, those are the Microsoft IntelliMouse, which is probably the most popular Counter-Strike mouse that is. I think that's the IntelliMouse.
Well,
it's the white one.
And if you look at the keyboards, I mean, if the keyboards now are even modeled after those keyboards they were using then, the mechanical keyboards.
Yeah, almost everybody your cheap $20 keyboard would use cherry switches.
Yeah,
right. So I mean, everybody, Steel Series started coming in around 2002 with mouse pads first. And they didn't even get into mice and other hardware until 2007 or so. Yeah, I think 2007 I had one of their first mice that caught on fire.
Whoa, wait, your mouse caught on fire?
Well, it was a prototype mouse, but...
So now, did you ever think then, watching those videos and looking at where things are now, that esports would be kind of at the level of production that it is?
Yes. From the first time I sat at a CPL and watched the finals in 2001, watched NIP versus X3, I knew it was going to be big. I knew it was going to be as... That's one of the reasons why we started filming. We're like, if other people could see this game the way we're seeing it, they will be hooked. So
Jason and I actually had a conversation about this when I first kind of approached him about doing the interview, and we talked a lot about, he showed me a lot of videos from back in the CPL days that his company was doing, and the production stuff that they were doing on the CPL videos is, if not at the same level, better than what you see people doing now. And the worst part is, and Jason elaborate on this for me, is that they had to do a lot of this stuff by themselves, like no assistance from Valve or the game or anything like that.
Well, the daily videos that we did with MFAVP, we would, I think at the end, I think we were doing like 14, 15 videos at an event. So we do 3 or 4 videos a day. And that's 16-hour days. It's 3 of us. And, when you say company, it's actually just 3 guys, 2 engineering students. And at the time I was a copier repair tech on vacation. And it was our full-time job. So we would break down how we would do our segments and how we wanted to do our matches. And I would film the live video straight from HLTV into a video camera. And then we'd take that footage and put it right into our videos. So we only had one shot to get, the kills. So that's how I kind of started getting good at that. And then 2006, we did with GotFrag, me and Sis Scoots, who I interviewed him in 2002. And then I got him to do some interviews for me in 2003 for MFAVP. And then we started working together at GotFrag. But when we started doing GotFrag TV, we were doing instant replay, which nobody was doing. We were doing real-time stats, which was through the GameSense system on GotFrag, which nobody really does stats. HLTV's finally starting to catch up on stats. If you can find them, that site's a mess.
I can't navigate HLTV for my life.
The world of esports stats is a mess. You have to go to like 5 different sites just to finally get a comprehensive of what happened in a match.
It's really a shame. And there's some people that do some really good stats. They just don't really have a job. We'll see how that goes in the next couple of years. There's just a lot of focus at it. But there's people who don't really understand Counter-Strike. We were the first people to do the assist stat. We were the first to do ADR and stuff like that. And so we would just bring that into the footage. We would, do tickers for the next matches coming up, and scores of previous matches. You don't see anybody doing that even now.
Oh no, I think I complained in chat the other day, and I know I've told you, Tim. Like there's companies out there that don't even put the round scores up when a match is going on, you could jump in the middle of a best of 3 and have absolutely no idea where you're at.
Yeah, and that's frustrating. It's terrible for new viewers to come in and see that. The hardest stuff for doing it that way is now if you want to go to player 4, you just hit the number 4 on the keyboard. On 1.6, if you wanted to go to player 4, you would just have to tap your mouse until you got to the guy. So we would have to have more cameras, more in-game cameras than they do now. A lot of times they just use one.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious then, for your opinion, for someone who's been in the industry, who's really seen it, grow from the ground up as far as a Counter-Strike really perspective goes there. Where is your opinion then on all of the little, I really don't know what to call them, but like mom and pop tournaments there that are out there? Do you like seeing everyone kind of have their own tournament, like how iPie Power can set up one week and then you have another one this week? Or would you rather see it to where there is one uniform league with a, even if that involves a player union and everything like that?
Player union to protect the players seems like a good idea. I just don't like a barrier of entry. I don't like the fact, if an iBuy Power wanted to do a LAN and they said, oh, well, you can't have this team come because they're non-union. And it's just a pug team. I love discovering new talent. We saw Conquest do some really good stuff at the Acevo LAN. At the CPLs, you would see people come in and just wreck teams. Zex beat EOL, who was the number 1 team predicted to win the CPL in 2002. Summer or winter CPL? I don't remember. I'm not Thorin. I can't remember every exact single thing. But, that's why I think I'm 90% sure that's a winter CPL, 2002, that 3D ended up winning. But EOL was predicted to win, and Zex came in, and they were just a Cal invite team, but they weren't really known. Some people thought Sunman was online, and they came in and just wrecked them.
So that's a good point. Like I've kind of got, when we talk about, especially like with MTG buying DreamHack and ESL, or the controlling stake in ESL, and now ESL has purchased EA. Like you've got this one body, and I'm kind of stuck in purgatory with it, because on one hand I want there to be like a set season for Counter-Strike, because we've just had the CEVO LAN, the RGN LAN that just went on. Now we've had IEM, and we've got DreamHack Winter over the last month. All of those tournaments going on, and it's hard to follow if you had a season with an off season similar to like the LCS does. But on the other hand, I'm with you. You get this one body that does all that, and then all of a sudden it becomes much more difficult to get into that market. Like there's a lot more barrier of entry there.
Yeah, that's what I just like to see. I'd like to see those unknown teams come in and just do something, prove what they can. And to have that opportunity. When you play Counter-Strike online, you think the other guy is full of shit.
They're always hacking.
It's so easy to feel like that. But when you go to a LAN, the first LAN that I played with was a DOP, which was the number 2 team in Counter-Strike in the United States, like in 2001. They had a pug there, and they just wrecked us. The second you were around the corner, they just mowed you down. That made me want to get better. And that made me work to get better. And I got, Cal Maine, but I got better. But then when I went to the CPL and started playing just in the pub servers on the CPL, those guys from Europe would come in and just with a pistol, and it's not like pistols nowadays, but they would still not just wipe you out. But right now, there are players. So, I look at nothing as a new Counter-Strike player. Now, think about that for a minute.
That's your boy right there, Tim.
Someone's been around for so long. People look at nothing and think that is American Counter-Strike.
And he's the new guy. he would be third generation Counter-Strike is what we would consider him.
Now, do you think that's an issue then for when it comes to North American Counter-Strike, that a lot of or more of the players do seem like newer Counter-Strike? They're part of the new wave, third generations, if you will?
I don't see anything wrong with that. I think more of going to, if you have such a structured league and a lockdown system, you're going to miss players like that. You're going to miss nothing coming up. You're going to miss the next Volcano. You're going to miss, I'm just trying to, even Swag, he's a young kid. You're going to miss players like that coming up if you lock out the league. Sometimes we've been going, it's been going on since 2001, but it has ramped up in the last 2 years to this really big level of stadiums. And I don't want to get too fast where amateurs can't get in. So maybe in another 10 years, I wouldn't mind seeing more set things.
Oh, so another 10 years before you get kind of a season set up in one.
That's what I want. Right now, the players can make decent money. They can travel where they want. They're not locked down to a schedule. They try to hit the majors. They take some events off. They go to the events they think they can win. Next year is going to be crazy. Next year, there are going to be tournaments that for $50,000, and teams are going to be, not going to go.
And I think there's also something we said just in general with esports, where if you are looking at more of like an open group play pool there, there are some tournaments out there. I know MLG used to do it all the time where you could have that Cinderella story who just decided, you know what? They're coming to Dallas. Let's go play in Dallas. And then all of a sudden they're playing against the top teams because they've kept making it through the brackets. And I think that's something that you don't get anywhere else as far as if you're looking at a professional competitive event, that where a, quote unquote amateurs can rise up within one tournament, one weekend.
And I think that's what Jason's talking about. Yeah, you're not going to be able to have that if you've got such a structure like the LCS. Unless you work your way through the challenger brackets, unless somebody buys you a spot, you're never touching the LCS. You can't win your way into it in one weekend.
And the other thing with Counter-Strike is you don't have, you used to have, when the internet was terrible, you would have all these concentration of players because you would have LAN centers in colleges. And that's where you'd get a lot of your players. And there would be a weekend tournament that people would drive 6 hours to go to some little LAN for that's giving away $100 or giving away a video card, one video card for a team of 5 people even. And you would drive 6 hours and you'd play in this tournament and to play on a LAN setting. Now the internet's good enough that you don't get that. Most of the players are online, so you need more incentive to get those players to a LAN.
Do you think the LANs that we've got now, there's not even a LAN center that I know of here in Dallas anymore. They've kind of gone by the wayside.
Dallas was the mecca of Counter-Strike. I can think of 4 big teams that were out in Dallas area.
Yeah, now we don't have anything down here, and yeah, with the internet the way it is, most people wouldn't even. The only reason we used to travel to play Halo all the time was because the original Halo didn't even have online capabilities on it. So
yeah, and it's one of the things that made that game. Well, that and being able to split screen, and so you could 1v1 your friend, and
which we had a big discussion on that, the split screen being missing from the next one, but that's a whole other conversation.
So, Jason, I don't want to waste too much of your time tonight because we definitely appreciate you coming on the show and kind of giving the history of, really a brief history of Counter-Strike, really competitive Counter-Strike that maybe some people, people think that it started with Source or Go, and really it's crazy to look at, 1.3 and stuff, and then you see Taz and you're like, oh my God, he's been around for ages.
Yeah, it's I always joke, people think esports, it's their thing, and they started it in 2012 or 2009, and it's like, I felt new to esports in 2000 because I missed out on all the Quake tournaments and I missed out on the Doom tournaments. So I was a noob to esports.
So I'm
Go ahead.
curious then to get from, because I'm a production nerd. I'm in radio production, if that's what you want to call it. And maybe, you can call me an old man here. Maybe I'm just being a stick in the mud here. But when we're watching these, tournaments, and I know they're all talking about being on TV now, and that's kind of the direction esports is trying to go into the regular TV broadcast world. When you're, even if you're a director or something like that, and your casters, swear or anything like that, because I know in general esports don't care. But as far as okay, so there you go.
There you go. The simple answer right there.
I mean, don't be racist. Don't. There's limits, but an F-bomb here and there, I don't care. If it's every other word, well, now you just sound uneducated. So, get that guy out of there. But every once in a while, talk some smack to another player, your co-caster. I mean, we're gamers. That's how we talk to each other. I mean, if you guys would see how those like Thorn and Richard and Moses and all those guys sitting around, how they talk to each other off air.
The on-air stuff probably wouldn't be so bad.
Oh, yeah. I mean, people would cry if they were saying that to them. I mean, it's just ruthless. And it's just all in fun. I mean, that's just what you do. I mean, you're supposed to say, get wrecked, fool. I'm being as nice as I can because I don't know your censorship level. So, I mean, that's part of gaming, and that's part of your, getting your bravado of, I'm in charge of this. And either if you're playing or at the desk, I mean, that's just going to be how you're going to be.
So speaking of casters and all of that, I do want to ask you, what's the one biggest thing you see missing from production in even just Counter-Strike today?
My philosophy, and on the old GotFrag videos, you can kind of see it, but it was harder to pull off. My Counter-Strike's a story, and it's an evolving. Every match is this evolving story, and it is. We could talk for 30 minutes on just this subject of how you tell the story of what are each player's buying. How are the CTs setting up their defenses? Are they aggressive? They're passive. Have they changed up where they've moved any players? How are the Ts moving into position? How are the Ts setting up? How's the Ts going to take this site? How's the retake going to happen? This player is been off a couple games. Can he get this shot to win the match? Because it's not just the shot. It's not the frags. It's can this guy get this shot because he's been in a slump? That is more interesting to me than Hiko coming around the corner and getting 3 frags. If the first frag that he gets is a guy that's in a slump, I want to see that first. To me, that's more interesting. Now, I mean, something like Edwards, where he killed 3 people through the smoke, I want to see that. And on a 3v1, you always want to be on the 1.
Yeah, Tim's commented on that a few times, of them choosing the wrong player, and it's something as simple as a 3 or 1-on-3.
Well, it's like a clutch 5v1, and they'll show the team with 5 guys, and you'll miss the ace from the one man's perspective, and it just kind of throws everything off.
And it goes back to the story. The story is the one guy. Every Counter-Strike player knows what it's like to be that one guy in a 1v5. So to be it in his shoes is what you want to see. Who cares what the frag is? There is no frag that is going to be amazing in a 1v5 from the 5 standpoint. It's just going to be a typical shot. I don't care if he does a jumping, spinning off shot. I want to see the one.
Awesome. Well, hey, Jason, again, thank you so much for joining the show. I just got one more question. You can make it as fast as you want it, really. Where do you see, yourself, first off? Can we expect anything from you? And then where do you see esports in the more recent future? I know we mentioned 10 years. Maybe that's when you'll want to start seeing actual leagues and formations go. But as for esports now and Counter-Strike more particular, since that's kind of the focus, Where do you see that in the near future?
Well, I think you're going to see. I mean, I want it 10 years, but it's going to be faster than that, and it's going to be faster than people are ready for. You're going to have people basically trying to buy. It's kind of what happened when CGS came into the scene. They started buying talent. They started buying teams. You're going to have this war where they're going to try to grab market share, and then they're going to try to give you this watered down product, and it's going to suck, and gamers are going to reject it. So you have to find that right medium. I'll be interested to see what Turner does. I applied for their job. I did not get it, apparently. So I'll be interested to see who they have there that actually knows esports. But it's going to be watered down. I mean, TV sucks. TV wants to be us. They want to be Twitch and any streaming service. They wish they were as cool. They wish they had this type of interaction with their fans. So to me, it's a step back to go to TV, but the money's there. So you're going to have next year is going to be a lot of big events, and some of the smaller companies are going to throw out as much money as they can, trying to grab a part of the market share, and it's going to make them fold. And it's going to be feast and famine. And the people that can hang on, if Turner's starting to see a return for their investment, I mean, if they're smart, they'll look at it as a 10-year investment. But companies aren't like that. They look at a 1-year turnaround.
How many years was CGS was looking at? Was it 3?
Oh, they didn't even last 2 years.
I know they didn't last 2 years. I thought the original agreement was something a little longer term than that, but I don't remember what Richard Lewis said.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was either, but I mean, every single thing that they did wrong.
And bottom line is TV, there's no other industry that's quicker to pull the plug than television.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
They have no patience for something that doesn't make them money season 1, so.
Well, Jason, I appreciate you taking the time, especially after I was a few minutes late to get you on the phone. Can you tell us again one more time your Twitter handle and your YouTube account? Because I want everybody to go watch these old school CPL videos and really appreciate what MFAVP was doing back in the early 2000s.
All right. It's Alchemister on Twitter, Alchemister, the number 5. And my, let's see, my YouTube is Alch5, ALC, and spelled out 5. And I guess about 100 or so videos up there. If you guys like good old classic 800 by 600 Counter-Strike, that's up there. Actually, I also worked for TSN for a while, which was radio only. And I found some of those, so I might put a couple of those up as well.
Good stuff. Well, hey, Jason, if you're ever near Dallas, give us a call and when we can meet up and talk some more CSGO.
All right, thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Again, thank you so much to Alchemist there for taking the time out of his day to kind of walk down memory lane of CPL and everything. It was awesome hearing that kind of stuff there, especially for, he mentioned nothing was 3rd generation Counter-Strike. Well, I kind of feel that we're in that same boat. I mean, we're in our mid-20s, so yeah, I remember playing 1.6. Actually, my first, and I'm sure I will get some hate for this, my first ever time playing Counter-Strike, real. I mean, I remember playing on my uncle's computer and not having a clue what I was doing, but when it was actually released on Xbox, which I think played on 1.6 engine.
That was 1.5.
Okay, see, so 1.5. See, so I'm old school.
I remember we used to play Aztec all the time on that.
And we thought Aztec was like the best map. Like, it won't get any better than this, guys. And now look at it. Aztec is a joke, and we don't know what the hell we were talking about there. So it was awesome hearing from him. Again, check his Twitter out. Check his YouTube out. It has awesome stuff there. And again, I mean, watch it and then compare to see where it's at now. I mean, you'll be blown away that what they were doing in early 2000s, there are companies today not doing it.